I never thought the last words my father would say to me would be an ultimatum wrapped in disappointment. Standing in front of his house with a suitcase in my hand, I realized something I should have known years ago. I was never going to be enough for him. My name is Clint, and I am the oldest child, the one who always tried to do the right thing. But in my father's eyes, nothing I did could match up to my little sister Stephanie, the golden child, who could do no wrong. One night, everything came to a head over something so small it seems ridiculous now. My dad looked me straight in the eye and said, "Apologize to your sister or get out of my house." I looked at him, then at Stephanie standing behind him with tears she could turn on like a faucet, and I said just two words. "All right." Then I walked out that door and never came back. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you are enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, what started as a simple disagreement turned into the moment that changed everything. What happened after I walked out that door, nobody saw coming. Not even me. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, in a house that used to feel like home. My father, Frank, worked as a construction engineer. He was the kind of man who believed in hard work, discipline, and traditional values. My mother, Linda, was the warmth in our family, the one who softened my father's edges. She died in a car accident when I was 16 and Stephanie was only 12. That crash did not just take my mother. It changed everything. After Mom passed, my father poured all his love and attention into Stephanie. I understood why. She was just a little girl who had lost her mother. I was older, almost a man in his eyes, so I needed to be strong. I tried to be. I really did. I became the son who did not complain, who helped around the house, who took care of his little sister while Dad worked long hours to keep us afloat. Stephanie and I were close back then. I taught her how to ride a bike in the driveway, holding the seat until she found her balance. When kids at school tried to bully her for being the quiet girl, I made sure they knew she had a big brother who would not stand for that. She used to follow me everywhere, looking up at me like I was some kind of hero. I remember one specific night when she was 14. Her first boyfriend had broken up with her over text message, and she was devastated. I sat with her on the front porch until 2 in the morning, just listening to her cry and talk about how much it hurt. I even drove to the store at midnight to buy her favorite chocolate mint ice cream. Those were the days when we were a team. Then I went to college. I chose to study graphic design at a public university in state. It was not what my father wanted. He had always assumed I would follow in his footsteps and become an engineer. When I told him I wanted to pursue art and design, the disappointment on his face was something I will never forget. He did not say much, just nodded and said, "It is your life, son." But I could feel the gap widening between us. While I was away at college, Stephanie started high school, and something shifted. She began to realize that she was the favorite, and slowly she started to use that to her advantage. My father's expectations for me felt like a weight I could never lift, while Stephanie seemed to float through life on a cloud of Dad's approval. I graduated with my degree and started working as a freelance designer. The money was not great at first, and I knew my father saw it as proof that I had made the wrong choice. Meanwhile, Stephanie got accepted into Northwestern University, a prestigious school with a strong pre-med program. My father was over the moon. He called every relative we had to brag about his daughter, the future doctor. When I landed my first big client and called to share the news, his response was lukewarm at best. "That is nice, son," he said, then spent the next 20 minutes talking about Stephanie's latest achievement in chemistry class. The pattern became clear. Anytime I had good news, a new contract, an article featuring my work in a design blog, my father's reaction was always the same, measured, distant acknowledgement. But when Stephanie got even a small win like an A on a quiz, he would light up and make sure everyone knew about it. I started feeling like a guest in my own family. My 25th birthday was the moment I truly felt invisible. I had reminded Dad about it the week before, but when the day came, he forgot. Completely. I called him that evening, and he answered the phone with party noise in the background. "Dad, it is me," I said. "Just wanted to say hi." There was a pause, then I heard him gasp. "Oh, shoot, I am sorry, son. I have been so busy with Stephanie's scholarship celebration. It completely slipped my mind." I told him it was fine, that I understood. But that night I sat alone in my tiny apartment with a cupcake I had bought myself, staring at a single candle. I remembered how the year before Dad had thrown Stephanie a huge dinner party for her birthday with all her friends. The contrast was painful. Still, I kept trying. I drove back to Portland for family dinners once a week. I called regularly. I convinced myself that things would get better. But every visit felt like another reminder that I was on the outside looking in. Everything came to a breaking point during Thanksgiving weekend. I drove home to Portland, looking forward to a few days with family. Stephanie came home too, but she was different. There was an entitlement in her attitude that I had not seen before, a laziness that seemed at odds with the brilliant pre-med student Dad kept talking about. I woke up early that Thanksgiving morning to start cooking. Our mother used to make this incredible pumpkin pie from scratch, and I had kept her recipe card all these years. I spent hours in the kitchen preparing the pie, chopping vegetables for the stuffing, and getting everything ready for our meal. Stephanie did not come downstairs until 11 in the morning, still in her pajamas, hair messy, eyes glued to her phone. She walked right past me without even a greeting and poured herself coffee. "Morning," I said. She just nodded, scrolling through social media while I worked. "Need any help?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "I am good," she said, not even looking up. When Dad came into the kitchen, he smiled at Stephanie like she was a ray of sunshine. "Let her rest," he told me when I suggested she could maybe set the table. "She has been studying so hard at school. She deserves a break." Dinner that evening started out fine, but tension was simmering just beneath the surface. As we passed dishes around the table, Stephanie wrinkled her nose at the cranberry sauce I had made. "This tastes weird," she said, pushing it away. "Mom used to make it better." I felt a sting in my chest. "I used Mom's exact recipe," I said calmly. "Well, maybe you are just not as good at it," she replied with a shrug. I waited for Dad to say something, to tell her that was rude, to defend the effort I had put into this meal. But he just kept eating, acting like nothing had happened. After Thanksgiving, I noticed something else. I was helping Dad organize some bills when I saw credit card statements showing purchases I knew he would not make. Designer handbag for $2,500. Shoes for $800. All charged to his card. All shipped to Northwestern. "Dad," I said, carefully, "did you know Stephanie spent over $3,000 last month?" He barely looked up. "She deserves nice things. She works hard." I hesitated, then said something I probably should have kept to myself. "Dad, I saw her transcripts by accident when I was helping her move last summer. She is failing 2 classes. The reaction was immediate and explosive. My father's face went red. "Do not snoop through your sister's private information," he snapped. "She is under a lot of pressure. Medical school is not easy. She is not in medical school yet, Dad. She is an undergrad. And failing." "Enough," he said, his voice hard. "I will not have you tearing down your sister because you are jealous of her success." That word jealous hung in the air like poison. I realized then that no matter what I said, no matter what evidence I showed, he would always choose to believe in Stephanie's perfect image. Christmas Eve arrived a few weeks later, and I almost did not go home. But some part of me still hoped we could salvage something, that the holidays would bring us together the way they used to when Mom was alive. I was wrong. Stephanie brought her boyfriend home, a guy named Derek, who was 29 years old with no steady job, and an attitude that made it clear he thought he was doing us a favor by showing up. The two of them treated Dad's house like their personal hotel, leaving their stuff everywhere, taking over the living room, barely acknowledging my presence. On Christmas Eve afternoon, I went into the guest room to grab my jacket and saw something that made my blood run cold. My old laptop, the one my mother had given me the year before she died, was sitting on the dresser. The screen was shattered, spiderwebs of cracks spreading across the display. I picked it up carefully and walked downstairs. Stephanie and Derek were sprawled on the couch watching television. "Stephanie," I said, my voice tight, "why do you have my laptop? And what happened to the screen?" She glanced over, barely interested. "Oh yeah, I borrowed it a few months ago." Derek accidentally dropped it. "No big deal. No big deal," I repeated. "This laptop was a gift from Mom. You did not even ask me if you could take it." She rolled her eyes. "God, Clint, it is just an old laptop. Stop being so dramatic. I will buy you a new one." "I do not want a new one," I said, feeling my composure start to crack. I want you to take responsibility and apologize. Fine, she said with exaggerated exasperation. I am sorry your precious laptop got broken. Happy now. That is not a real apology. What do you want from me? She snapped. Before I could answer, Dad walked in. What is going on here? He asked, looking between us. I explained the situation, trying to keep my voice level. I told him about the laptop, about how it was one of the last things Mom gave me, about how Stephanie took it without permission and never even told me it was damaged. Dad listened, then turned to Stephanie. Is this true? It was an accident, she said, tears already forming. I was going to tell him. See, Dad said to me. It was an accident. She said she will replace it. That is not the point, I said, my frustration boiling over. She took something that was not hers without asking, something that meant a lot to me, and now she cannot even give me a real apology. Stephanie started crying harder. I already said I am sorry. Why is he attacking me like this? Clint, Dad said, his tone turning cold. Stop making your sister cry. She made a mistake. Let it go. And she needs to own up to it properly, I said. Dad stepped closer to me. Clint, you are 28 years old. You need to learn to let things go. Apologize to your sister for upsetting her. The room went silent. I stared at him. Apologize to her for what? She broke my property. For making this into a huge drama on Christmas Eve. For making her feel like a bad person. I am not apologizing for something I did not do wrong. His jaw tightened. Then maybe you should leave. I will not have you disrupting this family with your resentment. Are you serious right now? I asked. You are kicking me out. On Christmas Eve, I am giving you a choice, he said. Apologize or leave. It is up to you. Stephanie was still crying, clinging to Dad's arm. Daddy, please. I do not want to cause problems. I looked at the two of them, standing together, united against me, and something inside me just broke. Or maybe it finally healed. I felt this strange calm wash over me. All right, I said quietly. Dad blinked. All right, what? All right, I repeated. I will leave. I walked upstairs to the guest room and started packing my things. My hands were shaking as I folded clothes and stuffed them into my suitcase, but underneath the trembling was something unexpected. Relief. Freedom.